Hi, this is Kelly from paperbeadrollers.com, and in today's tutorial I'm going to show you how to make this multi-strand tangle necklace or bracelet in a 4th of July theme. Let's get rolling! I chose to do my tangled strand necklace in red, white, and blue for the 4th of July holiday, but you can substitute any other colors you'd like and make a necklace you can wear year-round. Here are the tools and supplies you'll need for this project. I'm going to go over the beads that I used, but you may want to do different patterns on your strands or different colors. Even if you don't copy my pattern exactly, it will help you to know exactly what I used. I'm using 3 colors of paper beads made from a 1/4 by 6 inch strip of 65-pound cardstock. I'll need 13 reds and 17 whites and 17 blues. I used 3 of the star buco beads. You can get the templates for this bead from paperbeadrollers.com as a digital download. It comes with PDF files you can print at home, FCM files for your brother's ScanNCut machine, and SVG files that you can use in most other cutting machines. I used navy and white 65-pound cardstock to make these beads. Later in this video, I'll show you exactly how to put them together. For the traditional beads on this project, I used red, white, and blue 6/0 seed beads, 25 daisy spacers, 4 red and 1 blue star charms. To hold all of the strands together, you can use a bead end cap or you can use a large bead like this. I'm using 2 decorative round beads and a small metal ball bead as my end cap. In this tutorial, I'm showing you how to finish off this project as both a bracelet and as a necklace. For the bracelet, we'll use this hook clasp. For the necklace, we're going to use this red ribbon and ribbon crimps. You'll also need some beading wire. I'm using this 7-strand Beadalon in silver. You'll need a few inches of 26 gauge silver wire and some crimps. For tools, you'll need chain nose pliers, a crimping tool, and I'll use my 1-step looper, although you can make your loops by hand. You'll also need some diamond glaze and white glue. To make the star buco beads, you'll need a core strip and a cover strip, which you can get in the digital download from paperbeadrollers.com. The download does come with a PDF file, but the best way to cut these strips is with a cutting machine like a Brother ScanNCut, Cricut, or Silhouette. I'll be using the blue 1/8 inch roller from paperbeadrollers.com. You can use any size bead roller with this bead. First, roll the core bead. Mine are about 4 inches in length. Just slide the strip into the slot and roll, keeping the bead as centered and even as possible. Now you don't want the core bead to be crooked or you'll see the white peeking out on one side. When you get to the end, glue it down. Now, you need to see how long the cover strip should be. Now, one way to do this is simply wrap it around the core and crease the spot where the 2 sides meet. When you cut the strip, leave just a bit of extra room so you don't have any gaps in your cover. Spread the glue thinly on the back of the cover strip. Get all of the edges and around the star cutout. Now, place the cutout on your core bead. Don't place it on the seam. Make sure it's on a smooth spot of the core bead. And then wrap the cover around the core, bringing the sides together and overlap them if necessary. The small round beads are made from the 1/4 inch by 6 inch strips, and I'll use the red paper bead roller for these. Slide the strip into the slot and roll, keeping the strip centered. Put a bit of glue on the end and tack it down. Now you can glaze your beads. I prefer 2 coats of diamond glaze. I put my beads on skewers for this, and I put the skewers in a block of foam to hold the beads while they dry. For the star bead, make sure there isn't too much glaze gathered inside the star. Now we'll work on our 4 strands. I normally wear a 7.5-inch bracelet, so I'm going to cut about 9 inches of beading wire. Because these strands will be tangled together, they need to be just a bit longer than normal. Also, we need room to create a loop at each end of the strand. The first thing we'll do is crimp the end of the beading wire. Put the crimp onto the strand and then put the end of the wire through the crimp to make a loop. The loops on these strands need to be very, very small so that they don't show too much. Pull the loop very small, grab your crimping tool, and secure the crimp to make the loop. The first pattern we'll make is all paper beads and daisy spacers. Start with a red paper bead, then a spacer. And a white bead, and a spacer. A blue bead, and a spacer. Continue this pattern until you fill the length of your strand. In my case, that's just over 7 inches. Now you can put on a crimp and make another very tiny loop on this end. And our first strand is complete. Strand number 2 is a mix of round paper beads, seed beads, and star charms. First, you'll use a crimp and create a tiny loop at one end. Our pattern will be red, white, and blue seed beads, and then a paper bead. And we'll switch out in the red, white, and blue pattern with each paper bead. Now each time I add a white paper bead, I'll add a red star charm, and we'll continue that pattern until you reach just over 7 inches. Now each strand does not need to be exactly the same length, and in fact, having some variation in the lengths will make your bracelet more attractive. Strand 3 is going to be all blue and white. We'll use 4 of each color paper bead and 3 star buco beads. I'm also using 1 blue star charm. We are going to alternate 3 seed beads with 1 paper bead, and our seed beads are going to alternate colors each time. So we'll start with blue, white, blue, then a white paper bead. Now we'll do white, blue, white seed beads, and a blue paper bead. Then back to the blue, white, blue seed beads. And a star bead. And continue this alternating pattern for the entire length of the strand. Add the star charm about halfway down the strand. The fourth strand is all seed beads. Now this pattern is 10 seed beads with a red, white, red seed bead pattern in between each grouping of 10. Continue this pattern for the length of the strand and then use a crimp bead to create that tiny loop at the end. Now that all 4 strands are ready, we'll work on the connectors. Cut 2 3-inch lengths of wire. I'll use my one-step looper to create a loop at the end. Connect all 4 of our beaded strands to the first wire and close it securely. Now, lay out all of the beaded strands and we'll make the tangle. Now this is sort of like braiding, but you don't want to have an exact pattern. Just fold the strands over and through each other. Then, pick up the entire thing holding tight to the end and bend it around your wrist to see how the tangle falls when it's curved over your wrist. Now you can see here that my paper bead only strand isn't really woven in enough. It's kind of out there on its own. So let's go back and see if we can fix that. Okay, let's look at it again. Now that is much better. Now we can take the loose end of these strands and add it to the loop in our second wire piece. Now this is going to be a bit trickier because the strands are twisted and they're not laying nicely on this end, so they may pop off a little bit. So get them all on the loop and then check one more time to make sure things look good. When you're happy, close up the loop to keep all the strands in place. Okay, it's time to cap off our ends. I'll just slide this metal bead onto my wire and add a small metal ball just to give it a polished look. Now I can make a loop to keep it all secure. Now you've heard me say in prior videos not to get your looper too close to the bead because the bead might break. Well, since these beads are metal, you're able to put the looper right up close to it to get the tightest fit possible on this wire. There we go. Now if you want to make this into a bracelet, you can just add a clasp to the end. If you want to make a necklace, I'll show you how to add the ribbon. I do have a slight dilemma with these ribbon crimps. So I have 2 sizes of ribbon crimps in my stash, and neither of them are the right size for the ribbon I'm using for this project. One is too large and one is too small. Now I could run out and buy a crimp that fits exactly, but I'd rather use what I have here. So I'm going to fold my ribbon in half and use the smaller crimp on it. So we're going to line up the crimp so that the ribbon goes all the way kind of to the back edge. Now lightly squeeze it with my fingers to press it down onto the ribbon, and then I'll use the pliers to make sure it's tight and secure. Now I'll do the other side. Now this ribbon is about 2.5 feet long. That gives me enough ribbon to tie a bow around my neck. Since both ends of my ribbon have ribbon crimps, I can now attach my bead piece to it. Each of these crimps has a small loop on it. So since there's a loop here at the end of my beaded piece, I can just attach that right there. Now you could use a jump ring if you need to. And now that everything's connected, I can just cut my ribbon piece in half, and now I can tie it around my neck. Time to spend the holiday in style with your matching bracelet and necklace. Watch for my next video where I use the star beads to dress up some dollar store flip-flops. Be sure to subscribe to my channel and hit that bell icon if you'd like to get notifications when videos go live. Happy rolling!